And I want to express my appreciation to the political analyst and Mr. Steve for calling me and inviting me. And it's a golden opportunity for me to talk to you about some of the changes that have occurred in the Little Rock School District and some of the things I would like to see happen in the future regarding our district. I guess the major change occurred when Dr. Brooks was hired, and about maybe 2-3 weeks after he was on board, he came with an idea of reorganizing the district. At that particular time, I expressed my concern that I think it would have been better if he would stay for a year and really learn the programs in the district, the people and what they do, before we reorganize the district. However, he was permitted by a majority of the board to hire someone who served as his former boss to come in and reorganize our district. And the problem I had with that was the people who were hired as consultants knew less about the district than he did. And so what actually happened is that a group of people, committee of people, who basically were members of his cabinet, were given the responsibility for recommending changes in the district's personnel. Okay. After many requests, I finally got a report from the reorganization, and what disturbed me is that many of the positions that were cut were positions that we really needed in our school buildings to be resources to our teachers, especially the new teachers who were teaching in our district, and to be resources in areas where we were trying to increase our student performance. So that was, somewhat disturbing. And then another thing that disturbed me is that when I got the report, it indicated that African American employees in the district had lost $918,000 in salary, and the white employees in our district had only lost $28,000 in salary. So that was a big discrepancy there. Okay, and so I could never really get a direct response to the process that was used. I was told that it was a cut made from different departments, but another thing disturbed me is that people who were really working in those departments did not have an opportunity to make recommendations. It was people who were cabinet level people who supervised people who supervised the departments that were able to make the cuts. I met with Dr. Brooks on numerous occasions just to stay in touch with him and to find out and to keep him abreast of the pulse of the community that is. But it didn't seem to matter much with him what the community thought. And then I heard different things about how he did not communicate with certain parents in our district, African American parents in our district, and that disturbed me as well, that he passed those on to Katherine Mitchell, the associate superintendent there. So it was not that I was against reorganizing the district. I was against the process that was in place for reorganizing the district. I had no problems with first his getting a feel on what changes, how the district operated, what programs we had, and what changes need to be made before we go into the reorganization process. And that has had an impact on our student achievement, and I'll get to that later on. But then another change occurred in our district when we had an election in September and October, and we elected additional African American school board members, making them a majority on the board. And I think that that caused a lot of disturbance among some of the people in our communities, along with some of the people at the district. But we have never had a majority African American on the board because history reveals that. But this is a democracy, and in a democracy, the majority rules. So what we have to get accustomed to is that even though the majority is African American, it still does not mean that they don't have the ability to provide the kind of leadership we need for this district. And it does not mean that they're going to discriminate against any children in the district. We're concerned about all the children in our district getting quality education. And we're concerned about having the resources for the schools in our district in order that that can happen. We were promised that the reason why we were decreasing the staff is that the resources would be put in the schools. But in talking to the personnel in the schools, they have not received those resources, and our children reflect that in their performance on the test in other places. What do we need to do? The judge ordered us to have expert evaluators to evaluate our programs, and we did that. We had people who had a lot of research experience from universities in our nation to evaluate our programs. And they told us the programs that were working for the children in our district. What we need to do is implement those programs. And I'm told that we have not done that. We haven't done the implementation of those programs. But before we implement them, we have to have sufficient staff development. So our teachers have to be trained on how to embed them and implement them in our schools. We need a stronger commitment to making database decisions. For example, as I said, our professional development and our technical assistance need to be based on data. We also need to communicate with the principals and the teachers in those buildings who are working with those children every day, who can give you some idea of what they need in order to be effective in the classroom. We need to delete the programs that are not working, and we need to expand the programs that are. We need to expand these programs in our schools throughout the city. We have spent $500,000 on evaluations over the past 3 years. As I said earlier, these evaluations have been conducted by notable university level researchers. And the findings from this research indicates that that some of the programs are very effective, and we need to spread them throughout our schools. We have a couple of schools in West Little Rock who don't have reading programs. So we're not really implementing, programs we need that have proven to be effective in our schools. Then we have to listen and be more responsive to the needs of our schools. We have a lot of principals and teachers and parents in our schools who have articulated their concerns, but we haven't really listened to them and paid attention to what they are telling us. So we need to be more sensitive and responsive to that. We should show an increased willingness to learn from others. We need to look at school districts who have been successful with their programs. And in the Washington Post this morning, it's an article about Fairfax in Virginia. And so we need to see that there's some things that they have done to improve the performance of their African American students in their classes, especially in their AP classes. So we need to learn from others who have been effective.